of His Excellency, Dr. Aminah to this honorable house.
My name is Makaji Offa, member representing Ilorin Central Constituency. The Commissioner Nominee, Dr Aminah Ahmed El-Imam. She's a native of Offa, local government area. She was born on the 6th of March 1982 in Kano State. She had her early education at the Federal Government College, Kano, from where she obtained a white O-level certificate. She then proceeded to the great university in Nigeria, Yamot University. She is my colleague at the university. She didn't meet me, but we went to the school. She has her first 2 degrees, BSc and MSc in microbiology from that great university. Thereafter, she went to the University of Nottingham, United Kingdom, where she obtained a PhD degree in life sciences. The nominee is a university teacher and public intellectual who began her teaching experience at School of Health Sciences Specialist Hospital, Bauchi, where she served her mother's land. Currently, she teaches microbiology at the University of Ilorin. She is also a Fulbright postdoctoral visiting research scholar at the North Carolina State University, United States of America. In similar vein, she works as an adult disability support worker. University of Nottingham, United Kingdom, among other several cognate experiences which she has garnered over the years. She had over 50 publications to her credit in local and international journals. Mr. Speaker, right to the honorable colleagues, Dr. Aminah Ahmed El-Imam is a member of several professional bodies, such as the Nigerian Institute of Food, Science and Technology, Nigerian Society for Experimental Biology, NISEB, Nigerian Society for Microbiology, American Society for Microbiology, USA, and Society for Applied Microbiology, United Kingdom, among others. In recognition of her scholarship, she has received both local and international honors and grants, such as Nigerian Tertiary Educational Trust Fund, Academic Scholarship Grants, Junior Scientist Grants by Genetics Society of United Kingdom, American Society for Microbiology Travel Prize, and several others that are in fact too numerous to mention. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I am of the firm belief that these qualities, no doubt, qualify her to be a member of the Kwara State Executive Council. With her experience, is going to be rich as nominated by His Excellency Madam Abraman Abrasai. I hereby present to you, sir, and honorable colleagues, Dr. Aminah Ahmed El-Imam, for your kind consideration and confirmation. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, leader of the house, Madam Nominee. Now time. Please, you let us know. A comfortable zone will be created for you so that you're able to answer your questions. You have the photocopies of the original copies of your credentials?
I do, sir.
Honorable colleagues, I have checked the document just submitted before me by the nominee and found them her credentials. Other nominee, is there anything that is in your CV read by the leader of the House that is not your CV and you want and you want us to know?
No, right, Honorable Speaker, sir.
All right, Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my esteemed colleagues, permit me to congratulate the Commissioner Nominee for being fortunate to be nominated by our amiable Governor Madam Brahma Prasad. Mr. Speaker, my esteemed colleagues, having listened to the profile of the Commissioner Nominee, I want to believe that His Excellency Madam Brahma Prasad has really made business, because he has gone around to see people of robust resume. Commissioner Nominee, from your profile and place of work, you are an academician and you are into education, and which is the bedrock of every nation's development. Listening to the profile, we have seen that you are one of the seasoned lecturers that gain advantage of going out and still returning to the country. On that note, Commissioner Nominee, it's well known fact that most of your colleagues made in our various tertiary institutions across the country don't bother to exhibit high sense of patriotism whenever TETFund grants are approved for them to study abroad. It is on record that most of the beneficiaries of TETFund grants have their return to give back to the society, and for those that do, they resign within a short time and instead join the Japa band.
Continue. You are reading.
I will have a question here. So, on that note, we know that you understand where I'm going to, and you have a best case where you went out and you returned. If after maybe by Congress the House considers you, maybe you are able to oversee the mixture of tertiary, how do you curtail or stop the issue of Japa in the state? Secondly, you are coming a time when we have a responsible government that is concerned that is investing a lot in the development, in ensuring we revive the quality of education. In addition to what the government put in place, what do you think you can do differently, positively, to further improve the quality of education in Kwara State? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Muhammad Babasado. Honorable Ariola.
Ms. Ariola Fatima Lawa, member representing Ilorin East. I'm from Ilorin East local government. And first of all, I would like to congratulate Commissioner Nominee. And I also want to show appreciation to Malama Brahmana Braza for being a he for she governor. We have a lady in front of us, and I think I have to say this, commend this His Excellency Malama Brahmana Braza for believing in us women. My question, if after confirmation and swearing in, you are posted to Ministry of Health, I can see from your CV you study microbiology. What do you think the government can do to improve the quality of our healthcare system in Kwara State? Thank you.
Honorable Chair.
Distinguished honorable colleagues, I am Honorable Dani Folabi Salahu, aka Jeff Salahuddin. I represent the constituency of Federal local government. Mrs. Nominee, I have to join other colleagues to congratulate you on your being nominated as a commissioner nominee. Scanning through your CV, it is obvious that you have not in any way in the past participated in politics. You have all the while been in academics. Coming down to take this appointment if these hallowed chambers screen you and confirm your appointment, your nomination. How will you be able to come down to the level of politics to promote and join hands to develop the state? And finally, how will you be able to, and in what way will you collaborate with this legislative arm of government to make great improvement in development of Kwara State? Thank you. I thank Mr. Speaker for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you, Honorable.
Right, you is the nominee of His Excellency Governor Abdurrahman Abdulrazak, the gender-friendly governor. And there before you is Dr Aminah. Mr. Speaker, she is from my constituency. And I'm very proud to have her on board. We need to appreciate His Excellency, though it is prerogative to pick whoever he wishes to work with. But for the little time I know Dr. Aminah, she is an educator, an author, an ambassador, and an orator. She has marveled me in the little time that I've known her, and I believe it's the right pick to do diligence to good executive duties with His Excellency. Dr. Aminah is a woman of virtue from a very, very humble background. And I see us working, myself and the other legislators from our local government, to have a very good synergy. Mr. Speaker, my honorable colleagues, not to bore you with apologizing this learned woman in front of us, I want to ask her just 4 questions. Why I am making it 4 is for everybody seated here to know the qualities that she has and what she possesses. Madam Nominee, going through your CV, I presume you can exist in like 3 different ministries. You are a microbiologist, you are a banker, and you are a lecturer. My first question goes thus. Just recently at this Olu chamber, a motion was moved by one of our colleagues concerning illicit auction of fake drugs on the streets, in the major streets of Kwara State. How do you intend to tackle this menace? The second question, Madam Nominee. Our amiable Governor Abdurrahman Abdulrazak, has been making every effort to improve standard of health facilities in Kwara State, especially concerning the recruitment of staff, majorly doctors, nurses, and pharmacists. And the past 4 years, he has embarked on recruitment not more than 4 times. But the problem we have is when these people are recruited, after 6 months, they leave. So what do you stand? What are your goals if you finally find yourself in this ministry of Ministry of Health? Number 3 question. You are from Offa local government. Please tell us the number of wards that we have in Offa local government. Number 4 question. And the last question. Order! Your immediate constituency. The predecessor is in the floor of the house. The commissioner that last occupied your position. I want us to furnish the house with the name. Order! Thank you very much, Mr.
We can't hear you. From here, can we hear the last question?
Okay, the order is not loud enough. My last question. The one you are presiding here, your successor, is in the floor of the house. I was told he's at the floor of the house. The last commissioner that is representing Offa local government. I want you to tell the house the name of
the name is very white. So, about it.
I did congratulate you for being found worthy. My warm appreciation and thanks goes to the executive governor of the state, who has a knack for hunting for talent and indeed has found you worthy. I think standing before us here today, the competence and the capability of this accomplished university don is not in doubt. I do not have a question for you, but I do have some information to share with this Aluchimba about her. She is indeed a woman of great character. I've known her for quite a while. She's a family woman, happily married with kids. She indeed also has a very good family pedigree in Offa, of the Mustafa family from Ile Dundu. I have no doubt that this great academician standing before us here will indeed make all of us proud in Kwara. She's a pride for us in Offa, and we are indeed grateful once again for the executive governor of Kwara State for finding our way.
Honored Madam Nominee, I want to join my other colleagues in congratulating you. Going through your CV, someone coming from the academics, I can see that you have supervised 12 postgraduate students, undergraduates, a lot of undergraduate students. You worked in, from your CV, about 8 organizations. In Nigeria, most of our youths are not gainfully employed. I want to ask, what are we not getting right as a nation? And what can we do as a nation to curb this problem? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, let's pay her for this one, yes. Honorable colleagues, Madam Nominee, you have the floor.
the honorable members of this distinguished Kwara State House of Assembly, the clerk of the Kwara State House of Assembly, gentlemen and ladies of the press, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to sincerely thank you very much for the opportunity to invite me to speak to you, for the opportunity granted me to speak to you and address this hallowed house today. I would like to, without reservation of any kind and without any equivocation, thank His Excellency, the Governor of Kwara State, Governor Abdurrahman Abdurrazak, for deeming me worthy of this incredibly honoring and humbling nomination. I have quite a number of questions, so I'll delve straight into that with the permission of the House. The first question came from Honorable Mohammed Babasali of Okutaya Shikira constituency of Kwara State, and he noted that I'm an academician. The single most important point I took from him, because I'm learning today, is that education is the bedrock of any nation's development, and I don't think there's a better way to put it. Education is what makes Omar a nation. He said we do not bother, many of my peers do not bother to exhibit a high sense of patriotism after they have been honored with a TED Fund grant or scholarship to pursue their studies abroad, and that they hardly return, and even if they do return, they resign. That's if I'm confirmed as Commissioner for the Ministry of Tertiary Education, how do I stop Japa in Kwara? I say, with the potential Nigeria has, and particularly with the trajectory that Kwara State is on, it is quite simple to stop the exodus and convert our Japa to Japada. Many of my colleagues with whom I was privileged and honored to have studied together abroad would have been more than Many of my colleagues would have been more than honored and happy to come back home after the pursuit of their education. Unfortunately, there are a myriad problems that mitigate against this. Firstly, because they get qualified or certified in certain areas for which they do not have the opportunities to invest or demonstrate their knowledge, they find that they have become misfits and do not find the need to come home. If somebody specializes, for instance, in space and aeronautics, they may find themselves redundant if they are in some institutions here. That's one issue. Another issue is that sometimes it's just the search for greener pastures, which unfortunately is plaguing many sectors in Nigeria, with the tertiary education sector being similarly affected. So what would I do? Firstly, I am honored, blessed to have been a member of the academic family in this fantastic state of ours for over a decade. I'm lucky to have many of my teachers in the gallery, many of my colleagues with whom I could discuss and work out a way, an homegrown solution to this endemic problem. It will not be an academic problem that I'll just write down because I read papers. I will be discussing with my peers that I'm privileged to be friends and colleagues with, and we will develop a solution that works for Kwara to better Kwara. The second point, we want to revive education. What can I do differently to further improve?
Order!
We want to revive education. What can I do differently to further improve the quality of education in Kwara State? At the risk of sounding like I'm tooting our own horn, Kwara is actually on an upward trajectory. Everything about education in Kwara has improved considerably, and the figures are there for us to see. We were performing at under 50% just 5 years ago, according to WAEC's own internally generated data. That is to say, how many people had 5 credits, including math and English? We were at about 48% or 49%. I'm happy to announce now that we are well over 54–55%, and the trajectory is rising, all within a very few short years. That is a statistically significant difference in the figures. Despite this, I assume that we are not there yet, and so we will not be resting on our oars. What we will do to revitalize, rejig education in Kwara State is to make education fun again, make education interesting, inspiring again. We see the kind of attention that people get when they participate in talk shows, talent programs, and so on and so on. There is nothing about education that is motivating or enthralling to the youth of our generation, and we will do the needful. When students from our schools finish and get fantastic results in WAEC, we will not be celebrating them with handshakes. We will make it worth their while. Their names will be engraved in their schools as some of the pillars that motivate others coming behind them. They will be celebrated in more ways than one. They will even be given opportunity to come into these hallowed chambers if the partnership between the House and the Ministry of Education that I have in mind sees the light of day, if I am honored and accepted to head that ministry. There are many other ways in which we can make education more appealing to the youth, so that they will stop saying, "Nah, who education help?" So that they will know what I knew, what my father knew 40 years ago when he kept saying, "There is nothing else I can do for you than give you the world's best education." And if my father knew that he would rather pay my fees than feed me, and that is the reason I'm here today, my story alone will motivate many others to believe in the beauty and power of education. The third question was from Honorable Ariola, the indomitable Honorable Ariola of Ilorin East Local Government Area. She said, if in the Ministry of Health, what should government do to improve the quality of healthcare in Kwara State? Healthcare is something that is a sticking point for us in Kwara. Why? Because we have a very young and growing population. We have high maternal mortality, we are blessed, and we are people who are quite diverse in age, in location, in cultural practices, and all of that. And these come with their challenges. Most of our tertiary institutions in Kwara State are burdened with what I consider primary ailments. So if I am, with the acceptance and confirmation by this Honorable House, deployed to the Ministry of Health, I will ensure that the primary and secondary health institutions are strengthened. There are trainings that are conducted to improve and revitalize the manpower of these institutions. They will be expanded as necessary, and even if we do not immediately have permanent medical and nursing staff, we would have locums, we would have visiting members of the healthcare sector to ensure that our people are seen quickly, swiftly, and proper and world-class medical attention is provided to the deserving citizens of Kwara State. Additionally, because we know that the health sector is particularly bitten by this jackpot bug, we will ensure that doctors and nurses are sufficiently incentivized so that they remain at home. The majority of Nigerians want to stay at home. All they need is just a little better standard than where we currently find ourselves, and many will come back. Rural areas where we have the higher concentration of population in Kwara State will also see dispensaries, primary healthcare centers, and others being renovated and have staff deployed to them. And there will be specific incentives to motivate people to even say, you know what, post me to the rural areas. Because what we have is rural-urban migration of professionals all the time. We will make sure that we reverse that flow to saturate our rural areas so that our mothers can live longer, our fathers, our aged population can live devoid of pain and ailments. Additionally, and this is something that is particularly dear to me, I teach about sustainable development sometimes in the university, and most of our parameters in Nigeria are declining. Most of the developmental indices are declining. Luckily for Kwara State, we are on the uptick. Even our maternal mortality rate, in a few short years, we went from second worst to second best under the leadership of Governor Abdurrahman Abdurrazak. Second best is very good, but it's still not good enough. There is nothing stopping us with our potential in Kwara State from being the best state for a woman to be pregnant in Nigeria. This will ensure that we stop losing our young women of reproductive age, who are also the young women at the peak of their careers. And this will ensure that our children are raised healthy and happy. Honorable Salaudin of Omopo constituency, thank you for your question, sir. You mentioned that my CV is 100% academia. I'm an academic, I'm a teacher. You said I'm not a politician, and I will not be disputing that because my CV is public record. However, in my own small way, I'm a local politician. I have been a politician in the University of Ilorin for 4 years. Some of the most, hey, my teachers are here. Some of the most intriguing people to lead or work with are academics. Because if you say good morning, my colleagues will give you 5 scientific research papers to show that it is not yet morning. So sometimes it can be challenging. We have our own breed of politicians among the academic staff, and it can have its own peculiar challenges to work with and work for them. So while I may not have conventional party politics experience at the state level, I have been honed under the tutelage of some of the most versatile and erudite academics come politicians that this country has seen. Some of my mentors include Professor Oloyede. Some of my mentors who have trained me include the current Vice Chancellor, Professor Egbewole, who started also as a campus politician. Some of them include Professor Ajao, the current chairperson of the Academic Union, and so on. So, while learning is a lifelong process, and I specifically look forward to learning from the House and in Kwara State politics, I would like to let you know that I'm not starting from zero. Thank you, sir. With the Kwara State House of Assembly for Development. This is where I'm going to unashamedly say that I will be bothering you, sir, Honorable Speaker, sir, for tips, for ideas, for partnership, collaboration on how to move Kwara State forward. There is absolutely nothing the executive can do without the know-how, the experience, the versatility, diversity that is inherent in this noble and honorable house. So, I never once liked the feudal nature of the relationship between some executives and some legislatives. It does not benefit the people. And I think when that happens, it's because politicians have lost sight of why they are here in the first place. We are not here for ourselves, we are here for the people. And if it's the people we are here for, then we should know that when 2 elephants fight, it's the grass that suffers. There is nothing in my ego that will make my constituents, my people, my family, my state suffer. So I look forward to working with, collaborating with the House of Assembly in many ways. Whether it is to send information down to the grassroots to institute a cultural change, or whether it is to collate and harvest information from the grassroots so as to implement policies that will have direct bearing on our society. Honorable Yusuf Benga of Esa Shawu, Igbo constituency. My brother, sir. The motion moved on illicit hawking of fake drugs was recent. How do I tackle this menace if I find myself in Ministry of Health? We all know the battle we have been facing in Nigeria since before Professor Dora Akunyili of blessed memory. When it comes to fake, substandard, and abused drugs. This menace never left. It's reduced in her time, and I'm sorry that it has all but come back to, if not worse levels, it is about the same level as it was before that Amazon helped us quell the menace. So within my own sphere of influence, if I'm Commissioner for Health, I think there is a massive deficit in knowledge among our people. Nobody buys drugs to poison themselves. Everybody's seeking relief from one pain or one ailment or the other. These drugs hawked are not necessarily cheaper than the ones that are properly sold with prescription in hospitals and in pharmacies. So people only buy because they do not realize the implication of patronizing these hawkers. And some of these implications are the constituents, the active ingredients that are in these medications. Some of them are photosensitive. So they have been degraded by exposure to sunlight. Some of them are temperature sensitive. They can even be converted from useful medicines to toxic substances when they are exposed to high temperatures over a long time. So if we are able to sensitize people, this process will die a natural death, because it's because there's demand that there's still supply. When people stop buying, hawkers stop selling. And that is just one way. There are myriad ways that we can curb this menace so that people, again, if we have functional primary health centers, people will easily stroll in 500 meters from their homes to get their prescriptions and get their drugs where and when and how they should acquire them. He said, sir, that the standard of the health facilities are being improved by His Excellency Governor Abdurrahman Abdurrazak. How do we retain staff? Because when they are hired, they usually leave within maybe 6 months. Again, there is a nationwide exodus, particularly of trained talent, and it's not peculiar to Kwara State. In fact, Kwara State is less hit than some other states where entire departments have had to shut down because of a mass exodus of trained staff. But having said that, Kwara is unique. We have this typical African culture of community and familial relationships. If people had a choice, they wouldn't leave their own state. That is what we have in Kwara. It's not like what we find in maybe some other parts of Nigeria. So to incentivize doctors to remain in Nigeria is not that Herculean a task, because already they don't want to leave. More often than not, they would rather be with their aged parents, stay around their friends and family and all of that. Having said this, I am confident that if the work conditions of our medical professionals are improved, if their emoluments are paid as and when due, if we liaise with their representatives of the various bodies that they have, NARD and so on, and they can come to us with their complaints and we can work out an arrangement, many of them will remain. Partly because they are not unmindful of the fact that the government has spent a lot of money to train them at quite a subsidized rate. And also, like I mentioned earlier, they do want to remain behind. Many of them will be easily convinced to remain within Kwara State. And again, there's nothing dialogue cannot resolve. If the doctors and their representatives meet with us and with the partnership that the executive and this house will have, when we listen to them and judge, I'm sure we can work out something that will ensure that retention is improved. Your next question, sir, is that how many wards are in Offa local government area? There are 12 wards, sir. There are 12 wards. Esa Shawo Igoidu, where I come from, has 7 wards, and Ojomu Balogun has 5, if I'm not mistaken. But there are 12 wards in Offa. Thank you very much. The last question, I think there is a question from Honorable Sheung Oguni of Ojomu Balogun ward in Offa. He didn't ask me a question, he just gave me some advice and said some things about me. I'd like to thank you very much, sir, for the very kind words. Honorable Olushola, I think, sir. Thank you so much too, sir, for your kind words. You said most youth are not gainfully employed. What aren't we getting right? And how can we curb this? Sir, most of the community development and charity and personal work that I have done has been targeted towards youth development. And if I start to speak today about what we are not getting right, I'm afraid you will have to snatch the microphone from me. But I'll say 2 things, sir. The first thing, sir, is that the youth see a future that is bleak. There's this pervasive sense of hopelessness among people from the ages of 20 to 35 because they have witnessed the Naira lose 80% of its value in under a decade. Because they have experienced our currency lose most of its value. They saw their parents finish school with WAEC certificates and get good jobs, and they have master's degrees and they have not earned $10,000 in 12 months. So that hopelessness makes it difficult for us to convince the youth to even try. I asked somebody, why have you not put in any application to this? She said, I have 4 brothers who finished. They have been applying for 10 years. They didn't get jobs. Instead of wasting my time applying, let me go and learn tailoring. So I sit with them, I fashion out a method of strategic applications to highlight their strengths and downplay their weaknesses. When that works, they then transmit that information to others. If I'm lucky enough to have a bigger and more official platform to do this, I am confident.
Order!
I'm confident that with the help of God and this hallowed house, that we will have a renewed hope. We'll be able to instill in our youth the fact that tomorrow will be better than today and even yesterday. When we say they are not gainfully employed, the one thing I will spend the rest of my life doing, as I'm already doing, is telling the youth that what worked for me will not work for them. Go to school, get a degree, get a job. I think that time has passed. The world is in a state of flux and they need to be moving with the times. So we will ensure that they develop, they retrain if they have to, they reskill, they upskill, because today's illiterate is not the person who cannot read and write. It's the person who cannot unlearn and learn and then relearn. So we will ensure that we reskill them, upskill them, teach them about freelancing, teach them about coding, robotics, artificial intelligence, the development of space microbiology, aeronautic engineering, mechatronic engineering, the thing that the world works. We live in a global village, and using this curriculum from 20 years ago will not work today. Thank you so very much. I think I'm answered all the questions.
The commissioner nominee from Offa. You have done well, and we know aside ministries of 4 ministries where questions are thrown to you, any ministry you meet yourself, we have that belief that you are going to perform wonderfully. And in the shortest period, we know you. We've seen things that you have way of developing the younger generation, and you always encourage the younger generation. You keep it up and see how we'll move Kora to the next level. You bow and leave.